What's going on, man? What's going on? Zaylen, Eric Ortiz here with us,
sir.
man. So, first, you're the first guest on the podcast, man. So, how do you feel about that?
It's exciting. I mean, first for you, but it's also like my first like interview podcast, whatever thing.
Yeah. No, dude, so, 16 years old, musician. So, you're in school and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, how's that going?
It's good. I'm currently a junior at Northwest School of the Arts, but I'm switching over to South Mex soon.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of like transportation issues and like I don't have enough time in the day and everything.
Yeah. How do you balance like school life with like music?
Most things that I do when it comes to my music, it either happens on like breaks,
Yeah.
or like the weekends and everything, or if I'm just like not feeling my homework, I'll just sit and produce something or something like that, you know.
Oh, dude, that's cool. Man. So how long have you been doing music for?
I think it'll be a year since I released or like started working on it in like early spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. No. I feel like ever since I met you, I've been listening to your stuff from time to time. Like, there's a lot of songs that I do enjoy yours. But what's it called? When you started doing music, like, what was your intention? Like, what were you going for? Like,
the first song that I released was called Norm, and it was on SoundCloud for a little bit. I don't think it's on there anymore.
Yeah. Why not?
I don't know. I deleted it at some point. I don't know. I don't think it got like a good reception or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like my dad was playing a beat in his studio place, in the house, and I just started writing to it, and I came up with the song, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, can I have this beat? Because I wrote this really nice song."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Sure." And so I think I looped it over, like, and I had it, imported it from Machine, which is the program he used, into Logic, and I just recorded it, and it was really rough, so I think that's what might have been why I deleted it. But that came out in like that came out in either September or November of 2017.
Yeah. So since 2017 till now, you've been doing music. Yeah. So that's actually that's a couple different songs that you've made in this short period of time. That's not very long. So I thought it was like 2015 or something like that.
No. Actually, I mean, I've always been interested in music, and I've always liked writing music or poetry or whatnot. But just like in my notes, I've always had like, if I think of something and it's like, oh, this is kind of artsy or cool or something, or like a motto or saying or something, I'll just write it down in my notes on my phone, and that's where a few of my song ideas have actually come from. And it's been like that, like sort of since middle school, so like 2015 that time. But I definitely started getting serious-ish with my music since like late 2017.
Now, like when you go to write like a song, like do you just like whatever pops into your head, you start writing, or is it like a specific, like you sit down and then you start thinking about like, all right, we gotta write it?
It depends. It depends. Yeah.
Which one do you find yourself doing more? More
so with, well, I usually write music to my own beats that I'll produce, or I'll just like throw something together on a loop, and I'll sit down and I'll start thinking like, what kind of song would match the vibe of this beat, and it's kind of hard to explain, but it's, yeah, like you said, is I'll sit down and I'll think like, what kind of subject should I write this song about, or like there's been times where Florida, I actually created the artwork for Florida, or like the early artwork for Florida, before, like months before the song was even written, or months before like I even had the instrumental for it. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
I was like, I want to write like a Frank Ocean vibe type song.
Oh yeah.
Type like called Florida. Because when I think of Florida, I just think of like a nice chill vibe and like a sunny day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is exactly why Florida's probably. I would say Florida, right? Like it's definitely my favorite song of yours, but I like Ring Ring a lot from the
Ring Ring.
Yeah. That one was a good one. I like that one a lot. I thought that was. I mean, the song is good, but it's also so funny, man.
Yeah.
I like died when the part where the manager comes in. He's like, "Hey man, you trying to
contact the outside world?"
He's like, Please let me see my family. Dude, I was dying at that part. So
I don't even know how that came. Okay, so the beat I wrote, the beat I actually produced like. So most of the time when I produce my beats, I'll grab like a loop, or I'll put together a loop, from like a website that I find, or just something from the internet. But that's something where I actually played all the keys and everything, and played all the drums and everything. I was really proud of that, and I was gonna save it for like an actual song, like a professional like actual music song.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? This, if I change a few instruments on here, it could sound a little Christmassy. So that's what I did, and it came to
happened. Oh, that's so cool. Now, like, do you like play a lot of different instruments? Do you like,
No.
Or is just like on here you know how to do that? Or
I have like a MIDI keyboard, so I can. If I find something that sounds good to my ears, like I'll play that, and I can see where I can go with it. But most of the time, I'll grab something from a website called Looperman, and I'll just like scroll for hours just looking for a loop that I like.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Have you ever had like any interest in like going into instruments and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. I think since 2013 we've had a guitar in my house, and my sister learned to play guitar on that one. Actually, we got 2 guitars, me and my sister, for Christmas in 2012 or 13, and it was really exciting. And I was like 11 or 12, and I was really excited. And we've had it. It's honestly just been collecting dust in my room. But I need to learn to play at least the guitar by the end of the year.
No, dude. So wait, is your family into like music inclined, or is it just you?
My dad, my mom, I think is where I got like my voice from, at least. Cause she's always been like a singer, and like she's always loved to sing. And like if you've heard her sing, she's got a really pretty voice, right?
Really good,
But my dad is really where I get most of my musical inspiration from.
Yeah.
He grew up in New York, moved to Cincinnati in like 8th grade, 9th grade or something, Ohio, and then grew up in the underground hip hop scene there. So there was a hip hop competition event there every year called Scribble Jam, and he, like, this is what he's told me, but I'm not sure. Like, I can fact check it later.
Yeah.
But he said that in '96 he got second place in the MC battle, and then '97 Eminem got second place in the MC battle. Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
And there's a picture on his Instagram of him and Slim.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah, so he grew up around all the people like Dibs and Atmosphere, Eminem, all them. Those are like old school people. But yeah, but not only that, like him being interested in all that, he obviously his music taste developed as he got older, and then raising a family, he inspired me with, like, growing up, he would play reggae in the car, he would play R&B, alternative, punk rock, and like hip hop, of course. So I was exposed to a bunch of different genres growing up.
Very early on. So you were like easily swayed into like being a musician. Right? Yeah. So like this pretty much they were like already putting you on that path.
Exactly.
So like you're Puerto Rican, right? So how much do you put a lot of like Puerto Rican mix into your music, or do you just try to like stay away from that?
Not really. It's not even. No, I don't really have too much of my heritage and the influence from that in my music or in what I my art and everything.
Have you ever thought about calling back to that and like doing something?
I feel like at some point I should. And like Lin-Manuel Miranda, he's Puerto Rican and he's blown up since Hamilton, and he's done music for Disney. He's been in Mary Poppins Returns and all that. So it's like a really good time
to be like a Latin,
right? Exactly. Yeah. And so like after like Hurricane Maria, he got a bunch of Puerto Rican artists together to to raise money for like relief efforts and everything. Oh, really? And they did that through a song. Like it was it's called Almost Like Praying. And it's a really pretty song. It's just like essentially like an ode to Puerto Rico. And it's like You Beautiful Island and everything. And of course, like growing up Puerto Rican, I've like Thanksgivings haven't been your traditional turkey and all that. It's been all right. My grandparents are Puerto Rican. My family is Puerto Rican, so Like we're gonna have our traditional dishes, and we're gonna have our own traditions because that's just we're Puerto Rican, and so we have our of course we have our own culture, like that's what it is. So it hasn't necessarily influenced my art and my music, but I feel like at some point I'll definitely return to that, and it'll like growing up in the Puerto Rican culture and family. It's definitely going to impact my life and who I am. Yeah. So that'll impact my music.
That's great. Yeah. Dude, like, yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, coming from, like, also, like, Brazilian background, I find that, like, when I'm doing certain things, I'm always, like, in a certain sense, calling back to that. So, like, yeah. I feel like it's, like, I completely, like, I could see where, especially when you're, like, Latin and you're, like, third generation, second generation, it's so easy to, like want to do it, where I feel like it's like we're swaying away from it so much. Like I find myself often like forgetting about the fact of including like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm Brazilian, and then like I have to like think back, like, you know, I gotta like put out like my roots and things like that. But like definitely is great now more than ever to like be that way. Of course, yeah. So I completely agree. But like, so you go into music, you're still in school. What's the support like from like friends, people like that? Like, what is that?
I've gotten major support from a lot of close friends. And of course, when just like in school, you're like, oh, you know that kid Zaylen? It's like, yeah, like what about him? He's like, oh, he put on a song on Spotify, or he put a song on iTunes, Apple Music. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And like they'll listen to it once. If they like it, they'll add it to their library. Yeah. And so like on my stats and everything, I've read, and it's like people have listened to it from the library, or they just listened to it once or twice. Yeah. But like on social media and in person, the day that we came back to school, after the weekend that I released Florida, I literally walked into my musical theater class with about 4 or 5 people singing Florida to my face, and I was like, guys, oh my god, and it was awesome, and it was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
Dang, that's
yeah, neat. And so I have.
How'd you feel?
It was like, it was crazy because I just had like these people. I was just trying to walk to my walk into the bleachers and everything, and they just came up. They're like, "Oh my God, Zaylen, I love Florida." And then I have my friend Trinity coming up. I miss that time. It was like, "Oh my God, guys!" Oh God. It was great, but it was like a little embarrassing. But you know, it was like, guys, that's awesome. It was.
You feel like a legit musician,
right? Because like it just had people like swamping me. I was like, "Oh my God."
That's pretty sick.
It was a lot of fun. But also, since then, I've had 2 major things come from my music and my friends and everything. So the first is for my 16th birthday party in September, I held like a little house party, but also like a / concert called X Fest is what I called it. And I had my friend Chris, my friend Will, my friend Davis, who else? Gavin. It was mainly those 4 people. Gavin didn't really have any music, but he like did covers of a few songs that people know. Yeah. But Chris, Will, and Davis, they all came and performed their own music, and so like we were kind of the 4 headliners of X Fest, the show. And so it was a lot of fun. And so I got them all together, and I had about like 20 people in my dad's house, and we built a little stage that day. And it was so much fun. It was like a real performance. Yeah. Like a real like house party performance.
That's pretty awesome.
And then so that like, and I had a bunch of friends come through and support. But then that night I also I have their friends came through, and I also had other friends come through that also make music. And so we kind of made our own little like group of what's it called?
Like a rappers group? Something?
Yeah, I'll remember it later. But yeah, and so we have our own little like artist group called Powertrip. PWRTRP. We haven't released anything as a group yet. We're planning to this year, but it's just like a conglomeration of a bunch of like artist friends that make hip hop music that make.
Have you guys like? Do you guys have already some songs that are done and you just haven't put out yet, or
somewhat in the works? Works for sure. but me and I did a song. I did a remix of one of Will's songs called Hello that I put out for a short amount of time, but I'm gonna re-release it when we put our our project together.
So when you do that, where is it gonna be at?
It'll probably be on, if not SoundCloud and YouTube, just SoundCloud.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been putting out my music on like all your regular stores, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all that. And if you look at the percentages for like what the artist is getting paid per stream or per purchase, it's not the full. It's not what you would think, and so you're only getting paid a fraction of a penny for each stream. And sure, like it'll look good. You get, oh my god, I got 2,000 streams on this song, or I got 2,000 streams on this total EP.
Yeah,
it looks good, but you're only getting paid like $3-4.
Yeah, and that's like one thing that I didn't realize or even begin to recognize until like I think we recently spoke about this. And like you're talking about how like you were deciding on it wasn't SoundCloud that you were getting off of. What was the
Spotify and all.
Spotify. So like because just I didn't
they don't
realize
pay out.
that they don't pay out that much. So it's like
there's really no point. It's just like pocket change.
Jeez, that's crazy, man. Yeah, no. Like,
but it's a lot of fun to feel a little more professional. It's honestly, if you're just a small like high school artist like me, it's just to feel more professional and feel like you like you actually compare to some of the top level artists, and it's like, oh my god, look at me, I got this. Like the reason I started looking into putting music on those stores was because I had a comment on one of my first like SoundCloud songs, and it was like, oh my gosh, is this next song gonna be like on Spotify? Because like I'm not gonna listen to it unless it's on Spotify. And I'm like, whatever. But then I started getting in my head or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just look it up. And so at first there's like music distributors that will make you pay to like distribute through them. And it's like it's kind of messed up, but I see what the why.
Yeah. I mean, it's a business at the end of the day. Yeah.
Exactly. And they got to keep afloat.
Yeah.
But and so I released my first single, Summertime, in May through them.
It's a great one too. Actually, hold on. Speaking of Summertime, did you make the like beat for that? That is awesome. I just had to say that.
Let me tell you about that. That's actually something I'm still really, really proud of. So I sampled Tyler the Creator's Sometimes, which is like an interlude. He didn't call it an interlude, but it's an interlude essentially. Yeah. And I chopped it up in GarageBand on my phone, reversed it, and then there was a song that I had been listening to by a smaller artist named Bachi. And I really liked the drums on this one song that he had. So I got my own kick, snare, and hats for that. And I played out the pattern, and it all came together, and it was beautiful and perfect. And that was the beat for Summertime that I made on GarageBand on my phone.
That's awesome.
And I'm still so proud of that.
Yeah, you should be, dude. That is a freaking dope beat, man. Dude, when I first listened to it was recently, and I was like, this is sick. I don't know, like honestly, I like your other songs. I love your lyrics.
Thank you.
One thing that I realized from like a lot of people, because there's a lot of rappers, people don't want to be rappers.
Everyone wants to be a rapper nowadays.
But like the thing is, either they can like rap and it's like just like Eminem style where they're like crazy about it, or they can like have melody. Not a lot have either, because I know people who like they're good with making beats, but they can't sing or rap or anything. You can do both very well, which is one thing that I appreciate very, very much.
Thank you.
It's like your voice, and that's where like I definitely can see now that you say like you got your voice from your mom, because like I can see, because you have really nice melody. That's one thing about you that I really like, is like you have like this essence of like
sense of melody.
Yeah, right. It's really, really good. But nah, with that song, when it came to the beat, I was like, this is great. Yeah. This honestly, I was like, I wonder if, like part of me wanted to be like, there's no way he produced that by himself. But that is awesome.
Thank you.
That's sick. Do you find yourself like listening to like a lot of like small time people? Do you listen to like?
I've actually, within the past like year and a half, I've found a bunch of different artists that have been smaller, and they've actually grown a lot since I found them. Whether it be like the two main ones that I can think of off the spot are Bocce and Toby Lou, who's a little bit bigger. He's like Chance the Rapper, if Chance, like from 4 years ago. It's like who he was, and like that's kind of the level where he's at. And he's from Chicago, and he's actually like rising. He's I think he's gonna be at Rolling Loud this year.
Oh, wow.
And so he's like he's making it, and I'm super proud of him because I found him when he had like I don't know, but like a few thousand followers or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he popped up on an Instagram on my feed, and so I clicked on it, and I've been listening to his music since like spring of last year. I put my friend Gavin onto him, and he's just like a nice chill vibe. Dude, and I don't know I think it's the synths and like the way he uses his auto tune is really pretty, and I'm trying to sort of emulate that with my newer stuff. But Bocce, he's kind of your more generic like just artist trying to like make it, and he's in college and whatnot and all that. So like I haven't been listening to him as much, but his first project was pretty good. I liked the artwork for it when it popped up, so I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. So I clicked on that. But then the third person that I can think of is a girl named Mia Gladstone, and I found her through Young Gravy. You know who that is? Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, and all that. But they've collaborated before, and so she was featured on a few of his tracks before.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, and so, but then I started listening to her stuff, and it's nothing like what she does on there, and it's really pretty. And so she only has a few hundred followers, I think, maybe a few thousand, right now. And so she's still small time, and there's only like 5 to 10 people on her lives at a time. So like it's really personal, and like she actually I made these Converse. I think they're right here. Let me get them. I styled these Converse, and so they have a bunch of like different emblems from my different artists, and whatnot. And so I sent her that. I was like, "Yo, I'm personalizing these Converse that I have. Is there like a symbol of you as a musician that I can put on them?" And she sent me like a picture of like her like the thing she wanted me to put on there. So it's her song sick. Grow.
Man, I mean, you guys are listening. You can't necessarily like see, of course. Yeah. But this is like really cool. He's like drew on these like white Converse, and jeez, look at that, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. I would honestly
My friend's actually paying me to draw on hers.
Are you serious, dude?
Yeah.
That's sick.
I'm excited. I gotta talk to her about that too.
That's so cool. That's awesome, man.
Yep.
No, dude, like that's like you have like this whole vibe. I could honestly. This is why like when I'm speaking to you and I go and I speak to somebody else that like also is interested in like music and going to and becoming a musician. The difference about like I feel like you and anybody else that you do have like this like I could easily be famous type of vibe.
Thank you.
Like you got the hair, you got the look. I see like you dress up and you have the complete look of like this kid could possibly be something like
thank you.
A little bit more. But no, and another thing that I really also appreciate is the fact that like you spend a lot of time like you know a lot about like different musicians, and I feel like how much time do you actually put in? Like, was there a point in your life when you were like just learning about like studying or learning about like these musicians and you were just diving in because you know like facts like crazy?
Oh yeah. I mean, it depends really because it's really more in phases when I like take a liking or interest about different artists. So I remember the first one that I can really sit down and remember is in middle school, like 8th grade, maybe a little bit 7th grade. Yeah. I was really into Drake. And so I would listen to his stuff all the time, and literally people from middle school that remember me can be like, "Oh, yep, he listened to Drake. He talked about Drake all the time." And so that's all I would do. And then 9th grade is around the time that XXXTentacion came around, and so my friend, like me and my friend Chris, that performed, he started liking X a lot. And I that's when he kind of put me onto X, and so I really appreciate that from him. What else? During 9th grade, I really got into Tyler the Creator, and it was actually funny because like, you think Tyler the Creator, like, at least back then, he was like, he's always been like this wild kid, and is like not good for parents. Like, teenagers are gonna listen to him to like rebel against their parents. Yeah. But it's funny because my dad is the one who found him on a video with Action Bronson, and they were like smoking. Dude,
I love Action
yes,
Bronson.
Yes,
sir. Freaking Baby Blues by Action Bronson.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And that was that. And I actually, when Chance 3 came out, I started listening to Chance a lot too. But I really, oh my God, 9th grade, early 10th grade, I was into Tyler the Creator so much, and that led into a liking for Odd Future. So Earl the Creator, Earl Sweatshirt, Frank Ocean, Haji, Damo, all the Odd Future kids. Yeah. That led into the internet. That led into a whole variety of artists, because they branch out and they do a bunch of stuff with different people. But the first album that I listened to by Tyler was Wolf, and I think that's his best album personally, because it's like the story it tells a story. It's really good. But it was also like really vulgar, so it kind of I started watching interviews by him. I started watching like things about Odd Future on YouTube and everything. And my favorite interview with him is the one with Larry King, because it's Larry King, and then he's just this like 20-some-year-old kid, like just doing him. And obviously, like if you like listen to his music or watch interviews by him, you know that he's like just like a free spirit, and he's like, you know what, F it, I'm not gonna like I'm gonna do what I want. Yeah. And it's like whatever.
It's just like fresh, different.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was really refreshing, and it really inspired me to just live life to the fullest and just be me. And so doing that from then to Northwest, between that time, I came up with a project that I don't think I'm going to release. I might release some songs from it, but probably not the project entirely. At least not in any foreseeable future. At this point. But it was called A Walk, and it was a combination between a thought that I had in 9th grade that I like wrote down in my art like my artsy notes, and the Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. And so I'm not going to get too much into it, but it was really it really came together in early 10th grade, because I was really kind of nervous to go back to Northwest, because I had been there in 6th grade, and so the only impression that I knew that the kids had of me was from 6th grade, and everyone hates themselves from 6th grade, and everyone's like, cringy, annoying, whatever, right? And so I was really scared that people weren't going to like me, but I came around and I was being myself because of my inspiration from Tyler, and people really gained a liking to me. So it was essentially like a concept album with a story and everything. But it was like just like my life story, but it was really a metaphor for my life story and everything. And I don't know. I'm probably gonna release like singles from it. Yeah. At some point. Because there are some really good songs on there.
Dude, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, dude. I mean, a lot of your songs are like amazing, man. Let's start talking a little bit about that. Cool. Start off. I mean, I know Christmas just passed. Yeah. And now it's over. But let's talk a little bit about your Christmas album, dude.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
So, did you just, Christmas coming around, and you're like, you know what? In the spirit of Christmas, you just let me just do a Christmas album. Like, how'd that happen? How'd you get into doing that?
That's actually exactly what happened. Is I was just like, you know what? You know what'd be really cool is if I made a Christmas project, and I had a bunch of, actually most of the stuff on there are instrumentals from YouTube, which is rare of me because I never really use instrumentals from YouTube. But I looked up free for profit beats and everything. Yeah. So, but I was like, these are really cool, like boom bap beats and everything. Like I might go in on it, I'll but then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna create like a little Christmas EP. So that's what I put together. I put it together in the span of 2 days.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I recorded it and wrote everything in the span of 2 days. And I had already had the beats and everything, and I had already had most of the stuff written. Like Ring Ring was already written. Actually, no, Ring Ring wasn't written. I had Home for the Holidays, the last track on there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That was the first one that I recorded. That was the first one that I wrote. But then I like at the end of it, I was like, you know what? I want to have 4, but I don't know if that's enough. So the very first track, the title track, Merry Xmas.
I was about to say, so what?
The thing about that is that I was like, you know what? I'm really tired of writing Christmas music, and I'm really tired of, like, it's been a long day of recording and writing.
Yeah.
Let's just play this instrumental and see how it goes. And that's what happened, is I was like, in my head what was going on was like, maybe I can freestyle something, maybe I don't, maybe I just made like a comedy track, and it was just, that's what wound up happening. It was like, I'm gonna go in on this track about Christmas.
Dude, it was I remember when I first played it, I was waiting for you to like start rapping, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, I was sitting there. But like at first it's like I could totally tell, like I feel like in it you're like, yo, I'm not gonna take myself like extremely serious.
Yeah,
you're like,
of course.
Let me relax and just have fun with it.
Exactly.
But like as it goes on, like you find yourself actually like enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, dude, this is actually really good.
Thank you.
I was like you kind of like, it looked like you were trying not to get into a rhythm, and then you low-key do at one point, and then like it was like, I don't know, dude, it was
the track, yeah.
It was really good. It was really well done, dude. And the first, like in the beginning, if you listen to it in the very beginning, he starts off with like a cough.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
I was like, that sets the whole tone for the entire thing, for the entire project.
It's like, oh, excuse
What's
me.
up?
I was like, dude, perfect. Because like it made me think of like, you know, like those like old movies like Rudolph or something like that. It always starts with, you know, like some dude and he's like, hey everybody, so like I'm this guy and I'm gonna tell you this story. Yeah. So it felt like sort of like you're like that character. You're like, yeah, what's up? So this is a story of like why we're doing this.
Right.
And like, yeah, it was.
It's just for fun, you know. Sit back, enjoy it. It's Christmas time.
Nah, dude. How long? So to write all those songs and all those lyrics, it only took you.
It took me like one day, and then I recorded the next day.
All of them. That's awesome.
Ring Ring had already been produced. I got, let me see. I got most of the beats. I got the first one, Merry Xmas. That was a type beat from YouTube.
Then there's you.
Home for the Holidays.
Home for the Holidays.
That was from YouTube. Let me see.
So yeah.
Yeah, so the North Pole Help Desk. That was actually I was looking for something that didn't have any instrumental. Yeah. So I was just like, you know, what would be good. It was just like, get me an old school Christmas song and just like an instrumental version of that. So that's what I did. It was like Holy Night, Oh Holy Night, and it was like a really pretty version of that. And that's how that Yuletide. That was a type beat as well. And I don't know if you saw it. There was a YouTube. I made a music video for that.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. No.
Yeah, I was really excited because what happened? I don't know why, but my dad let me stay home from school. I think it was a half day, which is I stayed home from school that day, so there was like no one around like town or uptown or anything. So and it was really windy, so that was kind of the fun of it. But we started off the day. We were like, Dad, let's just go and film a music video today. I was like, all right. And so he grabbed his GoPro, which he had a better camera for it, but he was like, no, I'm gonna use my GoPro. I was like, okay, whatever. It's your camera. So we went to Target, and in the video you see all this, but like we went to Target and we picked up a light up Christmas sweater that had like lights on it, and so we filmed all that. We put that in the music video. And at first, it's kind of like a little like hip hop G, like old school video, because we're like opening the door of the Mercedes, stepping out. But it's a joke because we're opening the door of like a family Mercedes compact car, and you're stepping out with Heelys onto the pavement. It was so funny. And so I was heeling around Target, and I was heeling around Uptown. We went uptown for that, and it was so much fun. And then he took a few days to edit it and everything. And it was a lot of fun, and it came out, and it just all happened within that week. That entire EP and everything happened within that week. Wow. And it was so exciting. It was so fun.
Dude, that's crazy. I did not know that you did that. Dude, that's awesome.
And around that time, I had also been making the current EP that I'm working on right now is called Tenebris, which is just like an old Latin word that I found, and it just means like dark and obscure.
Yeah.
And I've been planning that one since like October, and I've been taking out songs, adding new songs, and just it's been a big conglomeration of a bunch of different stuff. And it should be coming out within the next month or two. But I was like around that time, and still I had been developing my sound and developing my mindset when it came to my music about let me just make stuff that I would enjoy listening to, or something like so. For the Merry Xmas project, I was like, you know what, I want to listen to a Christmas project that'll make me laugh and just lighthearted, fun stuff. And so that's what I made, and that's what I did. And also I had been feeling a little dark or a little sad at the time. So that's why I started writing Tenebris, and that's my most recent single, Damn, is the lead single from Tenebris. So it's been a lot. It's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about Kids on Drugs. Now, I know your family, or your mom comes from like a Christian background, and like, is this your first explicit song that you posted?
Yeah, I think so.
So like, how did that, like, how does it go from like, because you're still a kid, so you have to still deal with your parents having their say into, oh, you probably shouldn't do this, or I just think you should stay away. So like, how did that happen? Like, did you have a conversation?
My dad doesn't really have a big problem with it, and my mom, while she tries to guard me as much as she can, and protect me from like explicit stuff. Like, I'm still a teenager in America. I'm gonna see what I'm gonna see at school, whether it be on the internet, just surfing the internet, whatever. Like, I'm gonna see what the world has to offer, whether it's good or bad, at some point in my life. Yeah. So, like, she understands that, but she still tries to protect me, which I get it. She's my mom. But she also understands that, like, I'm a teenager, and that teenagers are gonna be interested in explicit things. Yeah. Exactly. And so my dad, he understands that a lot, so he doesn't really care. And he was doing the same type of stuff when he was my age. Oh. Like, he knows that I'm not like doing any bad stuff, so he doesn't have a problem with it. And going back to X-Fest, like, we played so much explicit music in front of them. My dad was the DJ for X-Fest, and my mom was there just because of my birthday party. Yeah. So they do not care at all. Oh, that's honestly. Great. They don't want me cursing around them in every day, but they're like, oh, it's a curse word in the song. I'm just, okay.
So, but I mean, like, when you listen to like the song, I feel like the message of it, like, just like goes right over. So it's like, it's fine, even if there isn't like one or two, because like when you actually listen to the message of the song, the song is like, I honestly, when I was listening to it, I thought like, out of everything that you had spoken about before, this like is very much more like it's very serious, and I think you took yourself very serious in this song, which is something I really did like. But like, when you're talking about like, because it's talking about drugs and kids, wanting to experience drugs and use drugs and different things like that, and it just felt so real, Yeah. And so like, what was going through your mind when you were writing? Like, what was going on?
I wrote that over the summer, and originally Golden Hours was supposed to be one big project. It was supposed to be my first album, but then I was like, you know what? I don't want this. Like, I'm still starting out as an artist, so I don't want this to be my first like actual full length project. So I'm gonna just divide it into like an EP, maybe a second EP later. Yeah. And so that's what I did. But Kids on Drugs paired with another song about like gun violence were gonna be the two like heavy hitters in the end. And so that song will be coming out later. And that's honestly, I think that's a really good song as well. But anyway, yeah, Kids on Drugs. Sorry. So I'm gonna break it down into like discussion about the chorus, verse 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So the chorus I wrote, and I had no idea what I was going, because I had the beat produced and everything, and I was like, dang, this is a really nice beat. I don't know if I should use it for like an important song, or if I should use it for like a trappy song. Yeah. Because it could have gone either way. But I was sitting on it for about a week. And then I'm babysitting these kids at church group, and I open my phone and it's this kid with like just a bunch of freaking jewels, and just like just sitting there, just being whatever. And so I was like, you know what, this is really annoying. Why are you doing this to yourself? And so I was like, you know what, I just got it. And I'm like, so I started writing the chorus, and at that time I had been going to a studio, like for lessons and everything with a friend of my mom's. So I let him hear the beat, and I let him hear the chorus, the person I was working with. And my dad, he like had his pointers. So I wrote the chorus. I was like, wow, the like face down, cuffs on the ground, face down lyric. I was like, wow, that's really impactful. They're gonna blow their brains out. That's the one I wrote that, and I was like, that's gonna be a heavy hitter. Yeah. And so I was just thinking about, I was like, all right, but what are the verses gonna be about? Verse 1 is about just celebrities dying of drugs and how it's pop culture at this point, which it really shouldn't be. Yeah. And that was a really serious take, and it told me, it was like, you know what, I'm going to take this song in a more serious direction. Yeah. So I started writing about Peep, and my dad loved Amy Winehouse growing up, so it was like I had to put that in there for him. And honestly, I spent a night on Wikipedia just looking up people that had died of drug overdoses or alcohol, whatever. And so that's where I got most of the names from there. And then the second verse, the reason I'm not doing much with kids on drugs anymore, and I might like take it off, is because of the second verse, or I might like alter it because of the second verse, is because that is a true story about a friend. I was gonna ask about that. And she was able to get better over the summer, but I hadn't seen her since March. Yeah. And so I didn't realize that the way I worded it was kind of selfish, and it wasn't my intention. Yeah. Like, it wasn't my intention to sound like that, and I didn't want it to seem like, oh, I'm going to use you for profit. I didn't want to, like, I guess the way she took it initially was like, it's not my, like, I shouldn't be putting her business out there without her permission. Yeah. And so that's kind of what I did, and I felt really, really bad about that. So I haven't done much with Kids on Drugs afterwards. And actually the name Kids on Drugs comes from J. Cole's album K.O.D. and the three, like, different names, King Overdose, Kill Our Demons, and Kids on Drugs. Yeah. So that's where that name come from. Just a little fun fact.
I mean, I get that. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, like, you know, as... I understand if you don't. And she's and she's like sober for 7 or 8 months at this point.
It's
a good message.
Of course.
Like. And I mean,
I feel bad for her because I really care for her, and I'm glad she's gotten better, and she should be coming back, I think, within the next month. So I'm really excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she's gotten the help she needed, and I'm so excited to see her again. But I didn't mean to come at it that way. I didn't know it was going to come off like that.
It's just it's a good story for
exactly.
Kid. I mean, it's relatable.
Exactly.
That's one of the things I think is
and it's real.
Best. Yeah, it's real. It's relatable. It's something somebody at that age could be like, right. Yeah, I don't want to necessarily end up that road. So, so I mean, you know, I'm glad that she's doing all right. I'm glad.
Exactly. Thank you. And then the third verse is about Kanye West. I don't know what else to say about that. Is like, but it was also about like thinking. Sure, he's going through a lot of controversy right now, and he's saying a lot of stuff that is hurting his career. But you got to think, what has a man been through where he's gone from this point of being loved by everyone to down here? Like, what has he gone through? What kind of medication has he taken? What kind of doctors and like doctors has he trusted that betrayed his trust at some point? And like, what kind of people like has stabbed him in the back? And so all of that builds up, and it's like at this point in history or in this point in America, I don't know what it is, but you feel like this is all building up inside of me. Let me go to the doctor for drugs. And it's like, that shouldn't be the mentality. And the song that I keep like listening to and referencing back to is Friends by J. Cole on K.O.D. And there's this line about it, and it's like the big climax of the song is like, Like, I hate to see, he's essentially saying, I hate to see all my friends building up their anxiety and their depression, and like everything is getting so stressful. I get it, and I couldn't even imagine, I couldn't even start to imagine where you're coming from and what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of medicating, like, why don't you just take the time to meditate and calm yourself down and see where you can get if you just take life one step at a time.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be so quick with your solutions, and you don't have to like take Ambien to stay awake or whatever, you know? And like, it's just like, it's a lot. And drug culture in America is so big right now, whether it be in pop culture, whether it be, it's like, oh, you know, feel good, take this medicine.
Yeah, it's in your everyday.
Exactly.
No, that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't think about it in that sense. Like, I definitely, I mean, I often find myself on, like, the other side where I'm like, man, Kanye is just, what's going on through that man's mind?
Right.
Like, yeah, I never really put it, you know, you only think that way once something really bad happens. Like when Michael died, everybody's like, dude, that doctor was like crazy. But before that, everybody's like, yo, he's raping kids. Screw it. Like, it was just so quick to like
switch up
until something bad happens. Amy Winehouse, same thing. It's like
same thing with X.
Yeah,
people were hating on him, and now he got shot. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh my God, rest in peace, X. Like, I love him so. Like,
before that happens,
like, what were you saying a year ago?
And so I
up.
definitely like. I hardly really think about it in that sense. So like, you don't know what's going on in his life. So I mean, somebody that big, his life is so different to comprehend to like ours.
Exactly.
So yeah, I definitely.
And of course, it's not like the things he says aren't excusable just because of that. But you've got to think it's like, take time to see what's up, like see what's going on behind the scenes, and maybe you can like empathize a little bit.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, dude. So like with Damn and this new project that you're working on.
Tenebris.
So like, when's next music coming? Like, what's going on?
I had like early or late 2018 going into early January. I had like a whole list of like, all right, I'm gonna have a new release every single month. But then looking at it from an actual like realistic standpoint, I'm like, that's not gonna happen. So I planned originally to release Damn early January, and then Tenebris late January, and then a project with my friend Chris in February, and then another one like a walk mixtape that I was talking about that would be released later on. And then looking at it from a realistic standpoint, that's probably not going to happen, but also looking at it from like a professional standpoint, and I have so much to learn within the next year and going on from that. Like, I don't want to use all my cards so soon. Yeah. And so, because that was going to lead up to the release of my first album in September, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do that. So I'm pretty sure it's probably going to come out sometime in 2020. Maybe even 2021. I don't know. But I've got a lot to learn. I've got a lot to adjust and get better with, improve. But yeah, so I think the big project that'll be coming out this year is the Powertrip tape, which is my group. And then I think X-Fest this year will probably be a lot bigger. Maybe like get a venue or something. That would be really exciting, right?
So do you have anything else coming up? I mean, do you have
so Tenebris should be coming out within the next month and a half. I have someone working on like a little piano bit for me. I have a friend working on like a little piano bit for me for a potential song. I think like the main thing is that I have this track called Heathens that I think sounds really, really whiny. But I really want to, like, that was going to be the first track, and that's really the deciding factor on whether or not when I release it. And I need the project to sound professional and to sound like all the songs need to sound good. I don't want to put it out just because it's like, oh, I have these 4 songs, let me put it out. And I don't want to, I got to start looking at it like my music releases from a more practical and realistic artist professional standpoint. So that's why I'm waiting. I have Damn and 2 other songs like that I think sound really, really good and professional. and that I vibe with really well. But Heathens, I don't vibe with as well, so I'm trying to find something else that I can put together to possibly put in the next spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much,
Of course,
dude. Thanks for sitting down and talking. I mean, dude, keep going. Like,
thank you.
Your music is really, really good, and I think you stand out from, like, I don't at all put you in the same category as, like, these wannabes. You stand out very, very well, dude. So I'm really hoping everything, works out for you, and you go for the best, dude. So you can find Zaylin on iTunes, YouTube, and SoundCloud.
You can find me on iTunes / Apple Music, Spotify, like most Amazon Music. I don't really upload too much on SoundCloud. I'll probably get on that more. I have my Golden Hours EP on there finally. But yeah, so and on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, and that's really the only social media I use. So for all of those, it's XAILIN. For my Instagram, it's XAILIN and Ortiz. XAILIN ORTIZ. That's Zaylin Ortiz on Instagram, and that's where you can find me.
Alrighty, I'll link all that stuff with some of the stuff on the Instagram page. Alrighty, everybody. So I think that's it, dude. I think we're good.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Hope you have a great day.
Sounds good.